welcome back to Anime Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that says, no, we will not, dear listener, go quietly into that good night. We will rage, we will prevail, and we will be heard. I'm Nate.
You want to take that one again? You said podcast.
I did. All right. I'll take it again. Take two.
No, we can leave it in. How about you just say podcast right now and I'll get it clean. I'll just drop it in. Give me 3 podcasts.
All right.
Really clean, really crisp podcast.
The only anime podcast. The only anime podcast.
Yeah, that's good.
The only anime podcast?
Oh, great. Okay. All right, that's perfect. Thank you.
I'm Nate.
I'm Remy.
And today we're going to talk about some anime.
We're going to talk about some anime, Nate?
Yeah, maybe some moving type, maybe some non-moving type.
Well, I'm ready. I've got some moving type on deck. I can't believe it's been 2 in a row, but I actually watched some more anime since last time. That's crazy, though.
Wait, like honest to God, real animated anime?
I hate to admit this, but I literally clicked onto a streaming site and went to the anime section and picked an anime out and watched it.
Oh shit, what'd you watch?
Well, I chose 2 things. One, I got a tasty burger and I just needed something to throw on while I ate because it's very hard to read with greasy fingers. Everybody knows this. Everybody has tried and failed, so I think you can relate, dear listener, my best friend.
You say that as I'm looking at my fucking mouse and keyboard, I need to clean this shit.
You're disgusting, greasy ass mouse and keyboard.
I need to get in there with a pointed tool of some kind, really get in the crevices.
So I wanted to avoid that fate, especially with my tablet, So I threw this on because, as loath as I am to admit it, I saw a couple clips on YouTube by accident, and they were actually kind of funny. So I watched, sort of on accident, all 12 episodes of Asobe Asobase. Have you heard of this?
I have not. Is there an English title?
I think it's called Pastimers Club. Okay. In English, but I'm not sure.
No, I've never heard of it.
So this is a comedic anime that's something we haven't really talked about.
Oh, some funny stuff.
Some funny stuff, and it's sort of in the mold of the Azumanga Daioh, the Nichijou, the kind of the 4-koma. Okay. I don't actually know if this one has a comic, but it's 3 kind of misfit girls at their all-girl school, and they're trying to get to know each other while being offbeat and doing weird, goofy things with each other. It's this is a familiar format.
Okay, yeah, I mean it sounds innocuous enough. Maybe cute even.
Yes. Now I will say, so there are a couple of things that draw me in and repel me at the same time, as these often do. It starts off with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed foreigner girl.
Love it.
As a person of Jewish persuasion, the Japanese blonde-haired, blue-eyed characters always set off a couple of danger signals in my brain. Kind of the fight-or-flight response kicks in.
Well, it's funny you mention that because, as you know, I have a taste for trash romcom anime, and we've talked a little bit about Tomo-chan as a girl, and one of the 3 main characters in that is she's not an exchange student. She grew up in Japan, but her parents are diplomats, and she is the stereotype of the dumb American blonde taken to such an extreme where it feels cruel and unusual that she is in the grade level that she's in.
Oh, wow.
Taking it one step further, she would basically be nonverbal, and I felt very disturbed by that throughout the entire thing.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, they try and walk it back a little bit by doing the joke where it's she's academically she's a genius, she's some kind of savant or something, but
right. She's a she's a dumb blonde, but secretly she has like studying powers.
Yeah, she's actually top in the class, number one in the grade. I think is the joke reveal. But she acts like a 5-year-old most of the time.
Boy.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's not my favorite trope, I gotta say. This one deftly sidesteps that. And this is kind of the hook that I gave it a pass over this. Not even gave it a pass, but I actually kind of like the hook where she is a white girl, explicitly. Canonically, she is a white girl. Her country of origin is not made clear, but she is
Whitelandia.
She is born in Japan and only speaks Japanese, but at the beginning of the series she's fucking with one of her classmates by pretending that she doesn't speak Japanese, which I found it very, very funny. But I really appreciated the way they played with it. I think she is a funny character, and it is funny the way she's fucking with her classmate this way. It's charming. And she gets into some real trouble when another classmate basically begs her to teach her English. And that kind of kicks off the trio of girls forming this little, what starts off as a study group. But as soon as it's revealed that this girl doesn't actually speak English, they just kind of devolve into what they call a pastimers club, which is just them fucking around after school.
Sure.
They make fun of each other's fan fiction. They play really stupid games, like Stand Still Sumo. You know that game where you slap each other's palms?
Yeah.
You ever play that? I used to play that in high school. I thought that was fun. I always preferred it to some of the other games, quote-unquote games that people would play in the same vein, where, like the one where somebody would come up and punch you in the nuts. That was a really fun game. That was a great game. Really fun. So they don't ever get to that particular level of, like, interpersonal violence, though they do have a lot of like humiliation play in between each other with mixed results, sometimes very funny, for the most part very funny.
So huge in anime right now, that humiliation stuff.
Yeah. I have to say, and I know, this is one of those things, again, where we've talked about this a couple times already, where it's like I can't really speak to the verisimilitude of the teenage girl experience. It's not really my domain, but it is an all-girls school, which I've always found to be really creepy.
Does it have male faculty?
It has one male teacher who they immediately treat as very creepy. Right off the bat, he is a creep.
He is a creep. I mean, being the one male teacher at a girls' school, that does make you a creep.
We don't know if he's the only one, but he's the only one that's present on screen, and he is almost immediately a creep. Not a super egregious creep. It's not anything that's like super off-putting, but he is kind of a creep. Luckily, we do not go into any like kids falling in love with their teachers thing, which I so appreciate.
Oh, thank God.
Please stop doing that. Please, I am begging you, stop with the kids falling in love with their teachers thing. It's not good. Not good, you guys. So I really, obviously, I just sat down and watched 12 episodes of this fucking thing. So I really enjoyed it. I thought that the main characters are very charming for the most part. It avoids a lot of really shitty stuff that some other, quote unquote, anime comedies fall into. Though, there is like a whole episode where they're obsessed with the idea of one of their classmates having a dick. That's maybe not so great, especially, right now, not so cool. But otherwise, they play it pretty good. I enjoy it. It really did remind me of, like, how much I enjoyed, like, Azumanga Daioh when I was in high school. Like, I think that's, for whatever reason, like, the comedy about the all-girls school thing just really hits. Maybe that's weird because I'm an adult man, but I don't know, they're really funny, and it really puts to bed this argument that I see a lot, and I'm sure you've seen it too, this like thing where it's like, hey, a lot of comedy just doesn't translate over, it's not funny when you have to read it in the subtitles. It's like, no, actually, like some of the greatest comedies ever made are silent movies. There is no translation issue here. People have pretty much figured out how to tell visual jokes for 120 years. I think we've kind of got a fairly good handle on it.
Yeah,
now.
nobody lost their shit when Shakespeare insisted that he have subtitles in all of his plays.
Yes. Well, that caused a lot of mixed results because most people couldn't read. So
it was a bold, creative move at the time.
Yeah. The sub versus dub fights back then were so intense. I mean, people were getting shanked like left and right. But this is not a problem in the modern age. I really think people who think about that shit should maybe question themselves a little more. I'm trying to think of other anime comedies that I've enjoyed now.
Well, you posted that question to me earlier, and I've been trying to think, and I can think of a lot of anime that have heavy comedic qualities to them. I can think of a lot of anime that have jokes in them, sure, but it's actually really hard for me to think of anime that is just pure comedy that I've seen, because I've seen a little bit of Cromartie High School. That's pretty much straight comedies you can get. Azumanga Daioh, obviously, but everything else, it's usually tinged with some kind of other Gurren Lagann, very dramatic, but also pretty funny at some points. Not a comedy, I wouldn't say.
Well, we get a lot of that. We get a lot of, there's lots of, obviously we've talked about a lot of rom-coms.
Yes.
And we'll talk about some later.
Well, I personally can't think of a whole lot.
I mean, there's a few, I would say Kaguya-sama, Love is War, obviously. I think that is very funny. It's a funny show. The one that pops up for me when I peruse our old canonical good anime list, I noticed Golden Boy kind of stands out on this list.
Not a rom-com, is a comedy.
Not a rom-com.
That's a horn-com.
Yeah, that's a horn-com. That's what we would call a sex comedy,
yes,
if we were still in the 90s. I mean, we really shouldn't dissect the frog, as they say. Comedy stuff, obviously very subjective. I think, honestly, a lot of the comedy stuff plays better in manga because of the 4-koma format is so ingrained, and most of these anime that we see are based on that. And I think maybe it's just there's a lot of times it's hard to translate, not from Japanese to English, but from paper to cartoon. I think that is really the translation issue that happens.
Sure.
Pop Team Epic doesn't have this problem. That's all I'm saying. Fucking rules. That shit kicks ass. But yeah, I watched that. I really got into it, and then I finished it way too soon. Only 12 episodes.
That seems to be the trend these days. You get a 12 episode part 1. And then if you do successful, you get a part 2 to get one full season, basically, or what used to be one full season.
I'm not mad. Anyway, I was more just disappointed because I thought, oh man, I'm just really into this. I want to binge watch it. But I binge watched it too fast. So I kind of needed something else because, again, I was eating something and my fingers were greasy, so I needed to throw something else on. And I decided, despite being initially very off-put by what I had seen of it, trailers and whatnot, I decided to put on Summertime Rendering just because it was on the front page of Hulu or whatever. I just had Hulu
Okay.
up.
What's that one?
Summertime Rendering is a pretty current show. I think it came from last season, maybe. I'd have to check on that. But this is a show that kind of ties into what we were talking about last time because it has one of those sort of fake out twist ending kind of first episodes. Right off the bat, I have to say the animation is crisp. It's a good looking show. It's a little off-putted because within the first, 3 minutes, there's a big titty gag, a fat titty gag.
Oh, fat titty warning.
Yeah, and so we start off there, unfortunately, and then almost immediately after that, they followed up with a ridiculous panty shot. But for the most part, the rest of the episode's crime-free. Which is good and pretty intriguing. This character is returning home to his small island village because a childhood friend of his drowned, and so he's going back for the funeral. And the little sister of his friend is really distraught, but she won't talk about it to him. And he kind of has to force her hand. And she reveals to him that before the friend drowned, she had thought she'd seen a doppelganger.
Oh, spooky.
And if you can maybe kind of see this ended up being like a very traditional style doppelganger, in Germanic sense,
a dark other.
So he decides, based on a creepy, there's always a creepy fisherman who comes around and says, well, there's an old legend on the island about doppelgangers.
Of course.
You see, they show up and they want to take over your body and kill all your family. So if you see a doppelganger, you got to go get blessed at the shrine. And so, out of an abundance of caution, as you would, right, you decide, hey, let's take the little sister and let's go get blessed at the shrine. Just
to be safe.
You never know. Yeah. Like if you're seeing weird demons and stuff at night, you'll go to your local Catholic priest and pray he's not one of the molester ones. So they go to the shrine, and it's all kind of proceeding like we're unfolding sort of this kind of like quaint little mystery, right? Where we're like, oh, what happened to this girl? It's very interesting. And they're at the shrine, and they're wandering around because they can't find anybody. And then they hear a gunshot.
Oh.
Yeah. And they stumble upon our fat titty lady from the beginning with a fucking gut wound.
Oh, no.
And we're like, holy shit.
I mean, this is some major Twin Peaks pacing right here.
Twin Peaks is very apt because we're getting strange characters in this strange little town, and we're proceeding into these kind of abrupt but understated explosions of violence. This woman is like bleeding out. And this is really shocking because so far it's been kind of, very laid back show.
Sure.
And while our main character is kind of like trying to get something out of this woman, like what happened? He turns and he sees the little sister's doppelganger holding a revolver to little sister's head. And now we're like, oh shit. Oh, this is going to be the climax of the episode, right? This is going to be our cliffhanger. Until she fucking pulls the trigger. Headshots the little sister.
Oh.
Then she turns the gun to our protagonist and headshots our protagonist.
Okay, that's a twist if I ever heard one.
This is the kind of shit that gets me hooked on a show. I know we talked about Garay last time. A really fucking strong punch of a first episode. Something that makes you desperately need to watch episode 2. It really works on me. And so it's revealed in the last 2 seconds of this episode. He wakes up on the ferry back to the island where he started.
Okay.
And we are now, it is revealed, this is a death restart.
All right. They could have gone a lot of death restarts out there, but that's a good lead in. I'm hooked. I'm willing to forgive it.
Yeah, I was not mad. I was like, okay, I didn't think we were going to go this hard, but suddenly I'm interested in the show. And, like you said, there's a lot of death restart out there. Obviously, this thing is going to be living in the shadow of something like ReZero, which is
a shame.
Yeah, inexplicably one of the most popular shows on Earth right now.
We really do mean inexplicable in every sense of the word, because I don't understand. I don't understand how it's that popular.
Even the fucking creepy, like, perving on the twins thing is just, like, so egregious. Anyway.
Hold on, hey, if you're a ReZero fan out there, tweet us. Let me know why you're broken.
Fuck, dude? Seriously, I would love for somebody to explain why they think that show is good. I would love it. I mean, I would probably never agree
Let
with
us know.
you, but I would love to hear why, your rationale. Anyway, so it does happen to unfortunately be living in the shadow of something like that, and I hope people don't draw too many comparisons, because that would be a real shame. that ending is so powerful for me that I am absolutely going to continue with this show. I'm going to watch a few more episodes, see if we level out, or if, like, sometimes, like we've talked about how they really spend themselves on the first episode and kind of don't have anything to follow up with. A lot of times that happens. I'm interested to see if we end up there, or if this can actually chug along, give me something to follow up with, deepen this mystery in a way that's not immediately disappointing like some are. I'm not gonna point fingers, but it happens.
There's a lot of good stuff that had an interesting start that just got left in the wayside, down in the 20, 30, maybe even like less than 10 chapters kind of category, right?
Chapter 3, even, a lot of times. I can't even count how many things I've read that are like, oh, cool. Oh, this is really interesting. Oh, cool. I'm definitely going to read chapter 2. Oh, God, no. Oh, I'm out. Happens all the time. Mainly because I think a lot of these, I think it happens mostly in manga because a lot of these things get pitched either off a one-shot, a really strong one-shot, or somebody who has worked a lot on a premise and a chapter 1, and then get hooked up with an editor who's like, okay, now what? And then now what is nothing. Sort of like the problem that plagues a lot of bands, where it's like the sophomore slump, right? You spend a lot of time writing the first 10 songs, first 7-10 songs. You go, you tour them, you put a lot of work into them, you sell a shit ton of your first album, and then it's like, now what? Now you got to do a whole separate thing, and you've got what, like a year or two to do it before your buzz wears off. It's a lot of pressure, and too much for most people.
Well, it's always unfortunate when a good idea doesn't get to blossom.
I really hate it. This is one of my psychoses, is when I read these things or watch something like this, I immediately go into my amateur writer brain and be like, how would I fix this? How would I write the rest of this? I know it's the most arrogant thing in the world, but I can't stop myself. I do it all the time.
It's very bordering on I can fix her.
I watch a bad
levels.
show and I'm like, I can fix her. It's like a bad but interesting show. At some point, I really would like to get into how I'd rewrite Initial D, because I would kill it. I really would kill it. I think my version of Initial D would be so good. No shade to Initial D, it's fine, but oh man, I really want to talk about that at some point.
All right, we can get into that another time. Can I tell you real quick about something an anime that I read that I was very jazzed on?
I would love to hear it, yes.
Okay, so I was, doing my usual morning tweets, yelling angry things at the various manga publishers that I have beefs with.
We gotta talk about that at some point. I gotta get a leash on this dog.
And someone I follow, someone that we follow, tweeted a recommendation for a chapter 1, just went up on Manga Plus, called Shibatarian. I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, but I read through. I was first of all, I was hooked by a very cool image. That's always the best way to lure someone in. There's a kid sitting in a theater, and he's surrounded by very creepy looking copies of the same person all around him in the different theater seats. I'm like, all right, you caught my attention. Let's see if you can keep my interest. So I checked it out, and it is so far there's only one chapter, just went up a couple days ago. It's about a high school loner kid, kinda. He's your standard, nobody understands me, everybody's an idiot, everybody is conformist, they don't...
It's shonen. He's got serious shonen disease.
Yes, that is the phrase I was trying to remember, the shonen disease. And one day he's walking along and he sees a guy buried up to his neck in the ground, with his head sticking out.
You know this, folks. We've all had this happen to us.
It's true. It's not just Japanese teenagers. That happens to American teens all the time.
Oh, I've been buried so many times. I'm a little smaller, so it's a little more convenient.
Mm-hmm. And our main character is like, what's going on? He's like, well, this is the guy in the ground. He's like, well, I ran into these punks and they buried me, and I was just kind of chilling here. Would you mind helping me out of the dirt? And he's like, okay. So they start hanging out. They realize that they both like movies. And he's like, starting from that day, he would go over to Shibata's house. That was the kid buried in the ground, every day to watch movies.
And what must be a shout out to Goodbye Eri. I mean, at this point, it's like I can't imagine anything other than that. They start watching movies together.
Yeah. Like every day they start watching movies after school, until eventually they decide, like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we made our own movie?
Also Goodbye Eri. Strangely enough, the Goodbye Eri is like 50% of this first chapter.
Yeah, shout out to Fujimoto. Dude loves movies.
Shout out to Fujimoto. He's the most influential guy out there right now. He's so hot.
Hot right now. So they're watching movies. They decide that they want to make a movie for the school cultural festival. So he spends all spring break making this movie with Shibata. And at the day of the cultural festival, they realize that the soccer team has supplanted their place as a presentation.
Who hasn't been cucked by a soccer team once in their life?
A very American experience. Americans love soccer.
God, I love it.
Especially high school. So he gets cooked by the soccer team, and someone throws a baseball at his eye. He gets very upset by this, runs off, and he's talking to Shibata, and like they get in a fight. Shibata takes off. So now we're skipping forward 5 years to now he's out of high school. He's 20 years old, and he's reconnected with the nerdy girl that was his only other friend. And he's like, I guess I've come to terms with the fact that Shibata wasn't real. Like, I was just having like a mental breakdown back then because I didn't have any friends, but I'm doing a lot better now. And she's like, well, that's too bad because I ran into Shibata and he gave me a movie ticket to give you, and he wants to meet with you in a couple hours. And he's like, what the fuck? He takes the ticket and runs to go meet this dude at the theater, and they watch the movie, which has a happy ending. And at the very end of the movie, they turn to each other to give their opinion, and he's like, the main dude's like, I like the happy ending, and Shibata goes, I hated it. And from that point forward, there's like a dark cloud cast over everything. And he's like, who are you? You're not my friend. And at that point, that's when the camera pulls out and he realizes that everybody in the theater has turned into Shibata. And they say, like, all right, now we're going to go kill everybody at your old middle school. And that's the end of chapter 1.
I think it's a little more subtle than that, but yeah, sure.
I don't think it is. I think that's pretty straightforward. That was a pretty straightforward recounting of what happened.
All right, everybody, now we're going to go kill everyone at the middle school.
I'm pretty sure they literally say that.
Kill all the middle school students. Yeehaw, yeehaw.
Yeah, everybody, now it's time to kill all the middle school students.
I was trying to do the Mickey Mouse.
Hey, everybody, we got to go kill all the middle school students. Oh man, speaking of Mickey Mouse, let's take a break, and then when we get back we can talk about some video games, which are anime. Welcome back back to Anime Death Spiral. For those of us that weren't paying attention in the first half, I'm Nate. I'm here with Remy. We're going to talk about some anime.
Why are you paying attention? Why are you spacing out through the entire first section?
Hey, I don't care if they're paying attention or not. Honestly, I just want the number to go up on the analytics page.
Are you trying to do like a neuro-linguistic programming thing on our audience?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm brainwashing you.
And then our names are the keywords that will install you in positions of power, and then we will activate you.
Hey, I'm just trying to get people anime pilled out there.
Okay.
So, for those of you following along with the lore, last episode, I tasked Remy with a quiz of horrible rom-coms. He did about a 60%, not great. In school, that'd be a D.
I could have done.
In Japan, he'd be expelled.
I could have done better, for sure.
And so, as a consequence of his horrible performance, he had to go and read some horrible rom-com.
Well, I took my lumps. I keep my word, and I also like to do things in kind of one sitting. So I went ahead and I read, it's not a huge amount, but a fair amount of 4 rom-coms. Why don't I do a little bit of reporting back?
Give me your book report.
So the first one I suffered through.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. First, come
right.
Stand up in front of class.
Hello, I'm Remy. My hobbies include playing music and, God. Can I just take my seat next to the cute, mysterious girl in the back?
Okay, go sit back next to the window.
So I read Karikano first.
Classic.
And this is a classic. I mean, this is kind of the classic. Famously, Hideaki Anno directed the anime before doing Evangelion, which is basically just a remake.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think that's a joke. It's not. There's a lot of crossover themes there,
and
people.
This one is very basic, but it's very, very cute. It has its charms. Very simple. Boy meets girl. Boy and girl are both overachievers at school. Girl gets a bit of a inferiority complex, and her hatred, as it's wont to do, rapidly devolves into love. What's interesting about Karikano, His and Her Circumstances, is that
it's basically the same plot as Kaguya-sama.
Well,
but
I would say
not funny.
It has its slows, but it is the seedbed of many modern rom-coms. This is obviously like massively influential. There are so many.
You're saying it's like the Seinfeld of rom-coms.
Yeah, it took a formula, it twisted it, and then it inspired a million other rom-coms. It's more of the Nirvana of rom-coms, I suppose. But one of the most obvious connections for me in that I had just kind of recently read it, besides Kaguya-sama, which uses the overachiever boy and overachiever girl falling in love thing to a much better effect. Like you said, I think it's a lot funnier. But Horimiya also uses basically the same setup as well, though again, the twist being that the boy is not an overachiever. He is in fact kind of a slacker loser, but his big secret is that he's actually a hottie when he's not at school. That's the big twist in Horimiya. Yeah.
Oh no,
that boy is a hottie when he's not at school. When he's at school, he's just a little gloomy nerd. But man, as soon as the bell rings, he fucking puts his...
Does he take his glasses off and suddenly
he literally
he's
takes
hot.
his glasses off and shakes his hair out in slow motion and puts all of his piercings back in, and he's a fucking hottie. He rolls his sleeves up, and he's got like sick tattoos and shit. Horimiya is very cute. Horimiya is very cute.
I mean, sick tattoos are cool.
The thing I like about Horimiya is that, and this is a personal preference, obviously, but like, I find the overachiever characters like so lame. I mean, putting their personalities aside, I think like the characters that like try to achieve status and popularity in school by like getting all A's is such an alien thing to me. I don't know. It's really strange. I just don't get it.
Well, I mean, we were in the American public school system. Achievement was nowhere near a priority for us.
Usually those are the kids that got bullied. So we clearly had a very, very different experience academically. I guess that is a pretty big cultural difference, I suppose.
If achievement was important to us, would we be on an anime podcast?
We would not have gotten into anime to begin with. I have to be honest. So the one particular note I have about Kaikano is there's one point where the mangaka writes a little note that says they found the gags in Ken Hill's production of Phantom of the Opera extremely unfunny. So that was just a weird thing that I noticed. Really liked the soundtrack. Really loved the soundtrack for Ken Hill's Phantom of the Opera, but hated all the gags. So this is a strange thing.
That's so specific.
I know, it's very strange, right? It just stood out to me a lot. It made me go like, maybe I should go watch that. So moving through that, which I appreciated, I kind of wanted to stagger these a little bit, because that one is so well known. I moved into the one that's more recent that I didn't know anything about. Girlfriend. Kanojo no Kanojo, right?
Yes.
And this is one where a little strange for me, because I had a little while back, just based straight off the name, read one called 100 Girlfriends. And this is that's about a guy who can't make a decision between two girls who are both trying to court him. He had been turned down by 100 girls before the end of high school, and the god of romance came down.
Achievement unlocked.
Well, literally, yeah. It's the god of romance comes down and says, you did it. You got turned down by 100 girls, so I'm going to give you this incredible power of love. So the next girl...
Man, I hate it when that
the next
happens.
girl who sees you, she is going to be extraordinarily attracted to you. She's going to be your soulmate. And it's going to be such a powerful soulmate connection that if you guys don't get together, she'll die. That's how strong I'm talking, baby. And he's like, well, that seems morbid, but fuck yeah, I'm ready. Hit me. And the next day at school, he realizes that the god of love fucked up and actually cursed 100 girls to be his soulmate. And they will all die if they don't fall in love with him. So he immediately starts running around school collecting girls, and the first few kind of like are not cool with this. It's like obviously very jarring for him to be like, sorry babe, here's my new girlfriend. And a lot of the joke is about how extraordinarily ridiculous this scenario is and how it escalates every chapter, with the girls kind of having to come to terms with this extraordinary new reality they find themselves in. And I thought it was like, it's such an extreme gag that I thought it was pretty cute. But as soon as he gets like 7 or 8 girlfriends, it becomes way too unwieldy. So going into girlfriend, I didn't really know much about it. I thought it was more of a straight rom than a com, but it's not. It is about a guy who straight up, with no supernatural setup this time, just decides
no, there are no funky rules keeping him in line. He's just he's just a dude that wants 2 chicks, as Office Space said.
He just wants 2 at the same time, man. 2 at the same time. And it's I will say, I'm not against polyamory. I think polyamory is fine. I don't consider it like a jokey thing. I think we're at a point where we can kind of talk about that as adults and say, like, that can, if you're into that can work for people. But apparently not for this comic, because the entire joke is the idea of polyamory being so ridiculous that it's in itself is hilarious. Unlike 100 Girlfriends.
The joke is that, he has 2 girlfriends. Isn't that weird and wacky?
Unlike 100 Girlfriends, which is like such an insane premise that, like, the gags are self-evident. The gags in this comic are that the guy has a great girlfriend, a great supportive girlfriend, and the relationship seems very healthy. And then one day, like, a girl he has never even talked to once, was not even aware of at his school, comes and says, hey, you're, whatever your name is, Kun, I love you. I'm in love with you. And he's like, I don't even know who you are, but I love you too. That's so hot that you're into me. But I am already dating another girl. And she's like, oh, that sucks. I guess I'll like fuck off then. And he's like, no, wait. You're so cute. And I like so want to get together with you. Why don't you come with me and we'll just like ask my girlfriend like if it's like totally cool if I like fuck you too. Let's just give it a shot. And this girl's like, well, I'm the most subservient person in the world, so why not? And defying all logic, this girl who is extraordinarily against this decides that instead of like losing her boyfriend, she'll just try to make it work. Which,
well, God forbid she be a single girl.
Yes. Well, it could be implied, if there was stronger writing in this series, we could say that their relationship is very strong. They have a really honest, emotional connection to each other. And this is something that, like, she loves him so much that she's willing to try this out. But he is, as is tradition in the rom-com genre, one of the most bland human beings ever. He has no personality. They never have a conversation of any, worth or substance. We have no idea, besides his honesty, really, his one character trait, as they usually have one character trait, why she would be into him. And so instead of being like, this is a really funny thing, this is a funny gag thing, I could not really get beyond my incredible sadness for this girl, like how put upon she is. And they try to soften the blow by making her kind of be like, well, the other girl is like really cute. And maybe I'm kind of exploring sort of my bisexuality. There's a subtext there.
Yeah, that feels like a cop-out. That feels like a backtracking.
It definitely is. It's definitely some like post hoc rationalization, which makes it a little gross.
That's like some major queer washing.
Totally is. It is. It 100% is. And it's also because like she treats those thoughts as like quote unquote abnormal as well. Which is just really sad to see, and it's compounded in the sadness that she's basically just forced into this thing that she desperately like doesn't want to be in and is very uncomfortable with, and her boyfriend is constantly saying, no, I must do this, and I will do any.
Like, I don't get it. What is appealing about this dude? Is he just hot? Is he rich? Like, does he have a rich family?
It's never established even one time.
He's just got that fucking riz?
I have no idea. The weirdness of this comic is really shines through by how the boyfriend and the second girl are basically nothings. They're silhouettes. They're cardboard cutouts. The first girlfriend is really the only character who is a person, and she is constantly in pain. And that kind of, for me, really dampens the entire gag aspect of girlfriend. It makes me desperately uncomfortable. The other thing is,
other thing
is, hey, polyamory, and I know I just said like she's kind of exploring her bisexuality, but the other thing is like he's trying to have a polyamorous situation where like he fucks her, and then completely separately he fucks the other girl. Like, there is not supposed to be.
Well, okay, let's be clear. That is not a functioning and healthy model of what I think most people that are advocates for polyamory would agree.
We would
a relationship would look like.
I think we maybe need to like back up and have kind of a deeper conversation about like how the relationships like that are supposed to work. But
I think what we're talking about is a guy who is psychologically forcing these two girls to be part of his harem.
Yes, well, that's exactly it. That is exactly it. Is instead of a polyamorous relationship, he treats this as like a down low harem. In fact, he never calls it a polyamorous relationship. We never bring up polyamory. He constantly calls this consensual two-timing, which says everything you need to know about girlfriend, I think. Also, the second chick is just straight up insane. She is insane.
I would be I would think it'd be very funny if the author for girlfriend came out and was just a total like J.K. Rowling type about polyamory, started bashing it on Twitter.
It's bad. That's what my comic is about.
Yeah.
It's an anti-polyamory comic. So that one is a very big fat like thumbs down. Girlfriend is, I hate to say problematic, but deeply, deeply uncomfortable, and the jokes do not land because of it. And, kind of in the terrible aftertaste of Girlfriend, I unfortunately moved on to Hokkaido Gals, which is...
say the full title.
I think it's... What is it? Hokkaido Gals are incredibly adorable.
Yeah.
Which is... and you mentioned it before, but this is what I would call a straight-up girlfriend simulator. This is not a story with characters and a narrative. This is dating game made out of dead trees. That's what it is. It's about a guy who hates women. He's deeply misogynistic, who accidentally falls, quote unquote, falls in love with the first fucking chick he meets when he moves out to the country. Basically, Daisy Duke meets him.
Like, he stepped off the bus.
He steps out of a taxi cab, and Daisy Duke walks up to him and says, like, damn, bro, I am into whatever's going on here. And he's like, what is this slut doing? And well, she's getting so close to me. This dumb bitch is like really breathing out. Oh wait, she's fucking hot. Like I'm only slightly exaggerating. That is pretty much his entire train of thought. Is like, wow, I cannot believe I'm attracted to such a like dumb bitch slut. Like that is. His entire character is repeating that phrase over and over again. Not my...
For at least the first few chapters.
Not my words, his words. Not my words, his words.
Yeah, no, direct quote, people.
And if you object to the term, if you do not like discussing these kinds of sexual dynamics in this term, but like, this is probably the most cut and dry example of female objectification that you will ever get, to the point where there are basically like pop-up stats and character traits for the quote-unquote Gyaru girls as if they were Pokemon. It is such a dehumanizing angle that I find it even more upsetting than the like every 2 pages there's like the most egregious fat titty shit you've ever seen. Like,
oh yeah, big warning there, people.
This is a huge fat titty comic to the point where it does that thing where like the fat titties hang out of the panels. They cannot be contained by the manga panels themselves. They escape the panels. He is constantly describing her as an evil temptress. It's every scenario that happens in this comic is like the first couple of minutes of like a really bad porno. It's just really bad. I hate this comic.
Okay, in the spirit of being fair and balanced, I just want to point out that I found it very funny that whoever did the localization on the scan translation decided to make the bold move of localizing the Hokkaido accent as like a Minnesota accent, and I found that very funny.
I have to imagine that's the snow connection, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Snow, kind of, rural farmer based communities.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that. Did not help me. I did not find it charming.
It did get me thinking about a Japanese adaptation of Fargo set in Hokkaido. That would be dope.
I have said this before, but I really, really would kill for like a shonen with the narrative sensibilities of a Coen Brothers movie. I've said this before. It still stands. I would love that. Anyway, I got a nice palate cleanser afterwards. I moved on pretty quickly from that to Aorioshi.
Oh, you found this a nice palate cleanser.
I did. Aorioshi is, not something I'm huge on, but I do not find it repugnant. Like truly off-putting, like I do Gyaru girls. Ayoriyoshi is again kind of returning to that 90s style, which is great because like we've got that incredible dynamic of the 90s in manga where like every single character is either looks like a fucking trash can or they are dripping so fucking hard they're like made out of slime. It's like fucking so tight.
Oh man, the 90s merch in that comic, drip levels off the charts.
Such great fits or such bad fits. You really flip a coin between heaven and hell there in terms of the fashion, which I really appreciate. Keeps the pages turning pretty quickly. You know, this is a story about a kid running away from a rich family, which I kind of appreciate. I wish we would stop with the rich families in general, but at least in this comic, they're posed as the bad guys, which I like.
Yeah, he's like, I hate my bullshit rich family.
Yeah. I think this is really interesting for a couple reasons. One being that it ran in Young Animal next to Berserk, which is very interesting to me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think the fact that it follows a college kid instead of your traditional teenager, early high school kid, whatever. I think I like that. That also a symptom of kind of being more of the 90s style. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was Young Animals kind of like demographic. They were doing for the 18 to 21
Yeah, slightly
crowd.
older stuff. Unlike Gyara Girl, I wouldn't go so far as to say this is a girlfriend simulator comic, but
no, and I think that stems from the fact that the main character is like heir to a rich family. That's not exactly, that's a what do you call it? That's a fantasy for the reader to engage in. That's not like something where they can insert themselves into.
Sure. I would say there are more characters and character dynamics which kind of create the sense of an actual narrative, which is something usually at odds with the Girlfriend Simulator. It's something that's not present in the Girlfriend Simulator. But the girl in question, she's the progeny of this rich family, and she's been raised from birth basically as cattle, as marriage fodder for this one particular guy. And that's basically her existence. She is not a person. She is
I mean, we don't use the term lightly, but she's literally been groomed.
She has literally been groomed. She is essentially willing livestock. And it's such that the main character actually kind of identifies this at the beginning of the comic, but his, let's say, desperation and horniness kind of override his human sympathy, and he decides that actually he can overlook that because, like, a cute girl cooking and cleaning for him and sleeping with him or whatever is like, actually that's pretty chill.
It's fucked up that like her bullshit rich family did this to her, but also like I kind of want to bang maid.
Yeah, I mean basically, yeah. Yeah.
That's chapters like 1 through 4 right there. That's the summary.
And again, like it's not quite as bad as some of these other characters in these other rom-coms, but they have very little personality, which is just unfortunate. It kind of again makes it to the point where like what do these people have that they like about each other? What is drawing, where's the magnetism coming from?
Well, in the case of Karakano and Ayoriyoshi, yeah, I think it's very obvious that the main characters are A, good looking, and B, very, very, very rich. That's what's very attractive about them.
The main character in Ayoriyoshi, I mean, he lives in a fucking dump, and he's turned down the money.
Well, yes, he's trying to disinherit himself because he hates his bullshit rich family. And, honestly, what caught my attention about that one in particular, after reading a lot of real trashy stuff, is, like, for the most part, other than being, like, a little horny from time to time, he's just like a kind of a chill dude.
He is more of a chill dude.
He doesn't have a whole lot of personality to himself, but he's also not like he's not a super perv. He's not an abuser.
He's not
really
an extraordinary misogynist like in Gyaro Girl,
yes,
which is great. I appreciate that.
I mean, he is misogynistic enough to again overlook the grooming that went on in this girl's life.
Not great. He tries to justify himself, but
not great.
I'm rescuing her, but like, dude, come on. I would say, out of all of them, Karikano definitely has the most personality attributed to its main characters, and maybe not a coincidence that it's from the female perspective. I don't want to speculate, but who knows?
Well, if I was gonna trust any one of these takes, I feel like going with Hideaki Anno. Maybe that'd be like the safer bet. You know what I mean?
I haven't watched the anime, so I can't comment on that. I will just say that the mangaka herself definitely has a more of an interest in fleshing out the actual characters in her manga, and that's even though I think Karikano suffers from a lot of the more traditional problems of a rom-com, being like there's not really that much overhead. Once you hit the relationship part, you're kind of just stalling for time, unfortunately, and I think she hits that part pretty fast. But I definitely, out of the four, I definitely think that is by far the most palatable. So that's like 3 out of 4.
I'm glad you say that, because that was definitely, I think, my favorite out of that quiz list that I gave you last episode.
Yeah. I think it is the best out of those 4 by far. At the very least, I can say it is the least painful. Easily the least painful read. That's my report. Congratulations. I did suffer for at least 75% of my punishment. You should be congratulated for that. Good job.
I feel very proud of myself. I finally did it.
Thank God.
Number 1 in the class, baby.
I really can't understate like how tiring the fucking misogynistic bullshit is, because I am a good person. I am a good feminist. I am an ally. I'm good. I'm a good guy. I'm one of the good ones. I am a male feminist. So let's move on. Let's put this all behind us, please. Let's talk about something fun, like fucking video games, man. Because a lot of video games are anime, right? I mean, they basically are.
I would say yes. Although you have to make a delineation about what exactly makes a video game anime. Because I was thinking about it. We talked a little bit about it during the break. There are lots of video games that are anime. That does not mean that every video game that comes out of Japan is anime.
No, of course not. But Kingdom Hearts, that's some fucking anime.
Okay, and I put that on here because I think Kingdom Hearts is the most anime video game.
It is probably, I might agree with you there. Despite not having its own anime, it does have its own like visual novel, its own animated movies.
It does have a manga adaptation.
Still doesn't have an anime proper, but it is an anime. I would definitely not argue there.
Okay, the hinge of my argument is based entirely around the concept of what we call the Naru Sasukura. I think a more generalized term would be the anime trio.
This is the Trinity
that people would recognize.
Is the anime.
Yes, the anime Trinity.
The anime Holy Trinity.
Specifically, you have serious guy, goofy guy, girl. That's it.
Yes. These are the let's say commedia dell'arte of anime.
Yes. You can slap a character design on any of these archetypes, and you got a stew, baby.
Naruto is the Scapine of anime, is basically my argument here. And you will find the Naru Sasukura is not always present, but it is immediately recognizable when you know what you're looking for, and it is like a foundational aspect of anime.
What's that quote about Mount Fuji? Whether the artist decides to include it or not, it's a statement because it's always present in the general theme.
Sure.
I feel very much the same way about this. And Kingdom Hearts is very much an entire series, built around that concept from the ground up, and B, it is the quintessential passion project for a creator, because it is just what Tetsuya Nomura likes in there. No matter if it's like coherent or good for the pace of the story or design of the character or like aesthetically pleasing, it's all about what he wants, and it shows. And really, as players, as fans, we're just along for the ride. That's what I've come to realize after playing through just about all of the games in the last 8 weeks
which
or
is
so.
Disgusting. I mean, I've played through a fair amount myself. Unfortunately, I have played through 1 and 2 and Chain of Memories, which is probably the only one I actually will admit to enjoying now. But how many of these have you played? Which ones have you played now?
Okay, so, I got the PS4 collection. So me and my wife have been playing the games chronologically and how they appeared on there. So you got the first one, which is the 1.5 remix. You have the 2.5 remix. In between those, you have Chain of Memories. It kind of cops out for the DS game, which was 358 over 2 days, and the phone game, which was like the block puzzle pusher one. All of those have incredibly critical story elements in them, by the way, enough to where they had to include they strung together the cutscenes to basically make a makeshift movie recap of those
CG
games.
Movie that is plot relevant. Though we could make argument that there is actually nothing in Kingdom Hearts that is plot relevant, because it's all just like a weird dream you're experiencing.
I mean, as a player, it definitely feels like a weird fever dream sometimes. But we played Birth by Sleep, which is, I think that is the point. If Kingdom Hearts was a manga, that would be the point that the author no longer had to report to an editor, if you know what I mean.
Kingdom Hearts Unchained.
And now we are in the middle of replaying Kingdom Hearts 3. So I've been immersed. I see the patterns now, and it is all about that trinity. Because for those unfamiliar, Kingdom Hearts is the Square Enix Disney mashup game that's really just a platform for Tetsuya Nomura of Final Fantasy character design fame.
Who is himself sort of like an embodiment of anime. He kind of sweats. He secretes anime. He's a very bizarre person. I'm sure it's almost, if you're even playing, even if you dip your toe in this realm, you have been exposed to the radiation of Nomura. But he is kind of just an anime human being.
Yeah. Well, his shadow looms over a lot of those mid-2000 video game designs, because his Final Fantasy VII designs from back in the 90s were so iconic, He did 7, he did 8, he did 10. He was like the Final Fantasy guy during the big heyday for the 3D games.
He put out all this concept art and all this shit, and then suddenly everyone's wearing 4 or 5 belts. Just everywhere.
Dude loves his belts. I mean, that's he goes through phases. Kingdom Hearts 1, his thing was all about zippers and pouches.
Oh yeah.
Big, big puffy pants with cargo pockets on them on the sides with big zippers.
Massive shoes.
Yeah, massive shoes. Kingdom Hearts 2, that's when he really goes crazy on the belts, because that's around the same time that he was really getting into the other Final Fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
The main title ones.
Right. And how does that evolve? What happens when he hits the weirder, newer ones? Because I really haven't even played those at all. Does he bring the zippers back?
Well, so Birth by Sleep, he was definitely going hard on the belts still. Mostly belts. A lot of weird singular armor pieces where someone's just wearing a single metal shoulder pad.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like Cloud.
Yes.
Cloud's thing.
Absolutely.
He brought that back, but instead of just being a metal piece, it's like a super ornate thing with gold filigree on it or something.
Yeah.
A lot of floating lapels on jackets.
Oh, for sure.
Stuff like that. Yeah. Now in 3, I'm noticing that apparently at some point he got really into plaid, and so he's trying to do the 2003 plaid punk Avril Lavigne look.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, Sora's costume now has all of these, red tartan highlights, like on the inside of his jacket and lapel. It's all red tartan.
I hate that.
It's very funny. Also, shout out to Nomura's fake clothing brand that the loser kids from Twilight Town wear called Dog Street.
Is that a reference to Goofy or what?
No, it's actually a reference to another Square Enix game called The Bouncer.
The Bouncer.
Do you remember that?
Yes, of course. That's so funny.
Dog Street was the name of the bar that the bouncers worked at in The Bouncer.
So bad. Oh my God.
Also, Tetsuya Nomura designs.
Yep.
That was one of his.
Yep, I remember now. It's all coming back. Oh, the nightmares.
But basically, from the top down, you have this concept of the character trinity. And it starts off in the first one, you have Sora, Riku, and Kairi. And they're like your classic anime trio.
Goofy, emo, girl.
Yes. That's it. That's the classic. I guess the twist is early on they all get separated, and the main driving force of the game is trying to reunite with your trio.
With a sequential trio, because we also have Goofy, Donald, and Mickey, who are also in
Yes.
Naruto Sakura.
That is absolutely true, and they're also separated and trying to get back together.
Yep.
And so you have Riku doing his own thing. He kind of turns evil in the first game. It's like a whole thing. Kairi is the girl, and so she only shows up in the first and last cutscenes.
Yep. Doesn't have a lot to do.
And then Sora hangs out with Goofy and Donald while they're trying to reunite everybody. And they're, basically a Abbott and Costello, a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern type situation.
A big guy, little guy.
Yeah.
A concept we'll return to many, many times, I'm sure. But they are big guy, little guy.
I mean, everybody loves a big guy, little guy.
Big guy, little guy is foundational.
And so you can see how their dynamics would interact and wanting to get back to your original friends, and a lot of the emotional focus is on like, well, do I really care about my friends that I'm trying to find, or am I fine with just settling for new people?
Right.
Which I honestly found to be a pretty compelling emotional angle for, again, a child's game for little babies.
Yeah. And so you move into Kingdom Hearts 2, and I know there's yet another trio, right? With Roxas, who is the Alucard of Kingdom Hearts, by the way. It's just so fucking stupid.
Well, we have to go several layers deep here. If we're starting canonically, we actually start with Birth by Sleep, which is the precursor to the whole series.
Oh, no.
And that introduces the trio of Terra, Ventus, and Aqua.
Oh, right. Oh, my God.
Who are the three original Keyblade Masters. And they get tricked by Leonard Nimoy, who's a horrible old man with a ball sack for a head.
But what about in the game? Who does he?
He plays Old Man Xehanort.
Xehanort.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he wants to unlock Kingdom Hearts, which again, after playing roughly 300 hours of these games, I still don't know what a Kingdom Hearts is.
It's like Heaven's Gate, right?
That's a cult where people died. Show some respect.
Well, I mean,
if we're going by what is literally shown on the screen, Kingdom Hearts is a giant heart that appears in the sky, and people kind of point at it and say, I want that. I want to get to there. But then I have a boss fight and the game ends.
So it's heaven.
I guess.
They want to...
Maybe.
That sounds like Heaven's Gate to me, man.
Anyway, Old Man Xehanort is trying to unlock the dark powers of the heart, and he manipulates these three Keyblade bros into fighting each other and blah blah blah. And so now we skip forward to Kingdom Hearts 2, where we introduce Roxas, who is Sora's nobody, which for those of you who don't know your Kingdom Hearts lore, like, come on, catch up. I don't need to explain every single thing to you.
It's pretty self-evident. I mean, he's Sora's nobody, okay? Like,
yes.
Come on. Come on, people.
Not to be confused with Sora's Heartless.
Do you really need to? He's obviously not a Heartless. He's a nobody. Do we really need to explain everything about this?
And so this is the explanation as to why Roxas looks exactly like Ventus.
Sure.
Big surprise.
And he skateboards. Was that something he also got from Ventus?
No, he has a jet ski that he can ride in space.
Ventus has a jet ski, and he gets downgraded to a skateboard.
Yes.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
I mean, that's just life, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. When you turn into a nobody, you lose your jet ski.
So anyway, at this point, we introduce a third anime trio, and that is Roxas and Axel, who is a member of Organization 13, a collection of evil, super powerful nobodies.
Who all wear black
and
hoodies.
Yes, who all wear black trench coats with hoodies. You know, they had to get rid of the original organization name, which was Trenchcoat Mafia. I mean, you know, there's the kid wearing the organization coat with the Naruto headband carrying the bleach sword. That's who I totally imagine when I think of myself. I mean, other anime fans in high school.
Yes, of course. Constantly bringing weapons to school.
I mean, this is America.
Yeah. It's our cultural tradition.
Anyway, and so we have Roxas, Axel, and Shion.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, who is a girl clone of Sora. It revealed at the end of 358 over 2 days, if I remember correctly.
So many Soras running around.
Yes. And I think those are the three main anime trios that they kind of focus around, but everything in the Kingdom Hearts cosmology kind of revolves around connecting those groups of people, and it's totally straightforward, totally easy to follow, and I think that it is a narrative powerhouse.
Yeah. Now I have to say, what's interesting about the fourth Narisa Sakura being Goofy, Donald, and Mickey is that
oh yes,
I guess Donald is the girl?
No. I would say...
You think Mickey is the girl?
I think Goofy's the girl. I think Mickey's the Goofy. And I think Donald's the serious one.
No, it can't be, because the serious one is usually the one who abandons the other two for their dark destiny, which is Mickey. He abandons the other two for his dark destiny.
Well, no, he doesn't. He doesn't abandon them for his dark destiny. He abandons them to do his kingly duty.
Okay, well,
I think there's a difference.
You know, the archetype is usually the one who abandons the other two, which leaves us with a Goofy.
And he doesn't abandon them. He sends them on a mission.
Okay. Well, we're getting into the weeds here. I would still argue that clearly we have a Goofy as a goof. We have Mickey as our shonen emo.
Okay.
And Donald has, just by, elimination, we have Donald as our girl. Donald is also the fussy mother hen, so I really think it's hard to argue with that.
If we can pull out for just a minute here, and I just want to talk about how funny the fact that Mickey gets one of those organization like leather hoodie trench coats, and when he puts up the hood, he has the fucking like Mickey ears that always remain in a fixed perspective
icon,
like on top of like the super emo trench coat, and he even does the thing where he pulls it up and it's like obscuring his eyes and he looks all dark and serious, but he has these fucking Mickey ears on top. I love that.
Oh, iconic. Absolutely iconic, which just further proves my point that he's the emo badass of the Narisa Sakura that is Goofy, Donald, and Mickey.
Okay, all right, I can see that.
I mean, he's the only one that has a sword, for God's sake. Come on.
Also, again, there are no rules on who gets a Keyblade, apparently. So Mickey has his own Keyblade that he didn't get from anybody. Like, he shows up, and Terra is like, wow, it's really weird that you have a Keyblade, because I thought we were the only ones that did. And Mickey is just like, oh yeah, the Merlin was training me to be a Keyblade master. You don't know him.
Mickey is God. I mean, he is the central figure that rules the universe, you know? In real life. I assume also in Kingdom Hearts.
Well, you know, if we're going by the rules in Kingdom Hearts 2, where there's a level where you go to like the Steamboat Mickey, like cartoon 1930s world.
Yeah, his origin story.
Yes, and it establishes that he found the cornerstone, which is the locus of all Disney magic.
Yes.
And he basically built up his empire using what amounts to the One Ring, basically.
Mickey is canonically the ultimate...
He's the Sauron of Disney,
Yeah.
of at least of his own Disney
Sauron,
level.
but like much more successful than Sauron, because he is the iron-fisted despotic ruler of all Disneydom.
Anyway, that is what I've been immersing myself with. That is the anime that I've been playing.
This is the thing that's been drilling holes through your brain.
Well, you see, I am about to take a pilgrimage back to the Holy Land, and I need to bone up on all of my Kingdom Hearts trivia for my trip to the Akihabara Square Enix store, where I will be arrested. That's part of the plan.
Just stuffing Roxas dolls down your pants.
Sir, please stop hitting people with the Keyblade. But why don't we take a break, and when we come back, we'll go real quick through some anime lists.
Oh, man. Yeah, I can't deal with a single second more of Kingdom Hearts.
All right.
Oh, boy. All right, guys. Last time I said some pretty harsh stuff about the tastes of my fellow anime compatriots.
I mean, we're not mincing any hairs here. The taste of most anime fans is trash. We're not going to baby.
I don't want to. I don't want to backstep. I don't want to mince any hairs, as you say.
Yeah.
But I felt like,
let's not sugarcoat.
Yeah. But I felt like, I was a little bit harsh. So I thought, we need to let's immerse ourselves in the thoughts of our fellow animators, our anime divers, our anime knots. So, in the pursuit of the light of knowledge, we decided we should indulge our fellow animators and give their opinions a little bit of space to breathe on the show. So we decided to both pull up a random top 10 list. And we're not going to name any names. We don't put anybody on blast here, but we both chose a random top 10 list of anime. And we just wanted to go over it and just, indulge in some, some healthy conversation with the community. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go back and forth. We're going to look at an entry in both of our lists. We're going to start off with my number 10 and kind of discuss an overall rating for each list based on these entries and what we think about each individual entry. So I'm going to start with our number 10, and then we're going to move into Nate's number 10 and just have ourselves a nice little discussion, and then give us a 0 out of 10 rating. We're going to review some anime review lists. I think this was healthy and productive.
I'm using my degree.
Yes, it's about time you did some research. So I've got a list, and my list is a little offbeat, and let's just get into it. So number 10 on my list, number 10 on my list is ReZero, Starting Life in Another World.
Oh no!
I cannot believe it, but we did briefly mention this show and our hatred of it right at the top. Somehow this takes a number 10 slot on best anime. I cannot.
I mean, for me, that whiffs it right out the gate.
I cannot disagree with this list more already. This is such a bad choice. ReZero has a premise that's sanely wasted on a horrible isekai. The death restart, like I said at the top of the show, is something that I find intriguing. I don't hate it at all. There's something inherently video game about it that is maybe handled poorly in a lot of scenarios. But I can't think of a scenario that handles it more poorly than this truly terrible isekai. ReZero as number 10? Absolutely not. ReZero doesn't make number 100. It doesn't make number 1000. ReZero, you are repugnant.
Don't put that on your top 10, people.
And I'm saying this as somebody who actually watched like all of season 1.
Oh, gross, dude. I watched all of episode 1 and I had to take a shower.
You had to dip so hard. I watched all of season 1, unfortunately thinking like maybe this takes a turn, because it is really popular. I'll give it to the author here. This is an extraordinarily popular anime. I kind of get maybe why you felt like you had to put it in here, but come on, man, this show sucks shit. My score of number 10, that's a fucking, I'm gonna give it straight up a -1. That's a -1 score on number 10 slot. Fuck you, ReZero.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
All right, man. Let's hear what you got. You've got number 10. Lay it on us.
Okay, so I'm taking it in a bit of a different direction here. The list that I randomly chose ended up being a top 25 list.
Oh, no.
So I am going to review entries 25 through 16 of their top 25 list instead of the top 10.
Okay, moving from the bottom up. Okay, I gotcha.
Yes. And with that in mind, at their 25, they have Haikyuu, which you may or may not be familiar, but that is the sports anime, maybe a manga, I'm not entirely sure, but it is the production IG sports anime about volleyball.
Of course I am familiar. The Sweaty Boys anime.
Yes, dem
not
sweaty
the
boys.
Sexy swimming boys, but the sexy volleyball sweaty boys. Yes, beloved.
Which I'm gonna give it to them. Props for finally turning that objectification lens on the boys out there.
Yeah, the thing is though, from what I have seen a couple clips and stuff, and they do not wear the bikinis.
No, it's not beach volleyball, so unfortunately regulation does not require them to wear the
I would
thongs.
take a couple points off just for that, to be honest.
But it is, I was not expecting that choice to get on a top 25 list, so that does garner respect from me. I do like the unexpected.
Sure.
So I'm actually going to give that a +1. A +1 for putting that in number 25.
All right. It's hard to argue with that. I haven't watched Haikyuu, but I've heard many, many good things. People really like that one.
I watched some, I've seen some clips of the various animations of the complex volleyball plays, and they animated that stuff, and it looks pretty dang good.
The fuck out of that one. Fortunately, I don't think either of us is much of a sports anime kind of person, but
I was not a sports person in real life. Why would I be a sports person in anime?
I kind of was more than you, but still, I'm not really interested in that stuff. So inoffensive, but not particularly interesting.
Sure. All right. What's your number 9?
All right. On my list, they have listed number 9 is Death Note. Now, this is not a particularly controversial choice. Death Note makes its appearance on a lot of anime lists. I don't like Death Note in general, so that's a no from me, dog. See, this is our big disagreement then, because I happen to like Death Note quite a lot. I do think
just a bunch of dudes jerking each other off.
Well, hey, what people don't like about Death Note, I feel, is actually much more true about Platinum End, which is a show that kind of descends into mental jerk-offery very quickly for my tastes. I didn't even finish Platinum End because it kind of got annoying to me. But I find Death Note to be really interesting. I like Death Note a lot. I think even though it really drops off in the second half, everything in the first part is really suspenseful and fun to follow around. I would say, in my personal list, obviously, I don't think Death Note would make the top 10, but I don't necessarily disagree with it. So I'm gonna give it to him. I'm gonna say number 9 is Death Note. That's worth a point. Sure.
All right. You give it a point. All right. My number 9, which again is actually this list number 24. They have Trigun.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. And at first, like, my gut reaction was like, oh, I love Trigun. Of course, that's going to get a point for me. But then I had to think about it, and it's actually saying Trigun is number 24 of best anime of all time. And, like, maybe Trigun belongs on a best 90s anime list. Maybe Trigun belongs on a best sci-fi or Western anime list. I don't think it garners 24 on best anime of all time list.
Not an all-time
anime. Not an all-time anime, and I love Trigun. I really do.
I would say this is a controversial opinion because some people really love Trigun. I mean, Trigun has survived the ravages of time, even though I have, to some people's chagrin, lamented that its animation doesn't necessarily hold up to a child's imagination and nostalgia of it.
Well, that's exactly, my reasoning, because whoever made this list is banking real hard on those early Adult Swim days, right? Yeah. And as we go through that, you'll see a lot of that on here, both early and current Adult Swim. So, yes, Trigun means a lot to me. Yes, it was very popular. Arguably a bigger success to American teens than it ever was during its run in Japan.
Well, got a movie, got a reboot. Even got some anthology manga.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
We don't have to talk about that. I would say, it's kind of a victim here because it's both too high and too low. It's like, it's a very awkward spot to put Trigun.
If this was a more specific list, it would be too low, and on this generic of a list, it is far too high. So that's actually a minus one for me.
-1 on that. Okay, now here we go. Now we're really getting into it because my number 8 is the... much discussed Naruto. Number 8 is Naruto. Now, this kind of suffers from a very similar thing from what we were just talking about.
I mean, Naruto's definitely one of the anime of all time.
It is one of the most anime of all time. I will give it that, for sure. I love that this review mentions Ninja Hermione, calls Sakura Ninja Hermione right off the bat, which is great because Harry Potter does feature a very iconic Naru Sasukura. I mean, the author is 100% correct there.
Well, it's where the name comes from.
From Harry Potter. You're right. Naruto, unfortunately, I have to say, even though, again, it's like one of those things where if we are talking about the most anime of Naruto, of course, would be 8, maybe even higher. But on a best of list, I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah, no, it's definitely goes on a most anime.
Definitely
anime
on a
list.
most.
I don't know if it goes on a best anime
I just
list.
have to say, look, and I'm even more sympathetic than I feel like I should be to Naruto. But even fans of Naruto understand that the first part before you get to Shippuden fucking sucks. A very huge amount of Naruto sucks.
Let's be honest. The fact that you've read Naruto means that you've given it a lot of grace.
I have given it a lot of time. I've given it a lot of attention. I've thought about Naruto more than any person should. And it's simply not an 8 on a best of list. I mean, come on, man. Let's be real here. We need to move past our childhood eyes. We need to put aside the nostalgia for our childhood days. Wake up, people. Naruto is not good.
Yeah, it's the next evolution in the fandom, right? People have to realize that Naruto's not good.
I don't know if we'll ever reach that point in my lifetime, but I'm hoping even if I can make just a little bit of a dent, that it would be worth it for me to do this entire show. I would say it's not worth a -1 for Naruto because I do understand where you're coming from there, but that's a big 0. Number 8? Fuck off.
All right, me?
You.
Okay. So, number 23, stand in for number 8. They actually have Dragon Ball Z, which...
wow.
I think that I have no problems with, both as a number 23 or as a number 8. I think that is incredibly fitting if we're talking about enjoyment to quality ratio.
We did just talk about how we need to remove the scales of nostalgia from our eyes and see clearly.
I do have a lot of nostalgia for Dragon Ball Z. Definitely the Namek arc. That was a big one for me. That was on Fox Kids, when I was like 11, 12. Sure. So obviously it holds a big place in my heart. That theme song riff was one of the first things I learned how to play when I was learning guitar.
I think Dragon Ball Z kind of occupies the space that Naruto wants to occupy, in that it is a nostalgia pick, but it also is such a foundational shonen.
It is I was about to say, it is the platonic ideal of a shonen.
Yeah, it occupies a truly, like I said about Karikano being the seedbed of a modern rom-com. Dragon Ball Z is obviously the undisputed seedbed of modern shonen.
So as a number 8 +1, don't say your sight's too high though.
Not ambitious.
Keep it humble, Toriyama.
It's a solid pick, but not an ambitious pick. That's my final say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so number 7 on my list is now this is a little unfortunate, but my number 7 is Rurouni Kenshin. Which is not a pick you see too much these days, probably because of that whole author being a pedophile thing.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to get into that. Oda, man, shut your fucking face when it comes to that shit. You're really embarrassing us.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the author of Rurouni Kenshin is a pedophile. Really tarnishes this choice. I wish I could talk about Rurouni Kenshin objectively, because it is another one where I did have a lot of fun with it when I was a kid, and I did when we get to the live action anime adaptations, we're going to talk about Rurouni Kenshin again, because those movies are kind of fun. Definitely not the worst of the live action adaptations, but I just feel like there's something weirdly missing from the core of Rurouni Kenshin that turns me off about the project. I feel like it does not really belong on a top 10 list, and I something that I don't, even though I feel weird saying it, I don't really like. I think this is a whiff. I think this is a big whiff. I'm not going to say this is a detractor, but I think this is definitely a 0. Rurouni Kenshin, I'm sorry, but with the pedophile thing and the everything else, I can't see it. I cannot see it.
Oh man, that's a hard one for me.
I thought
that's definitely hit me in the. No, I didn't know that. That's hit me in the nostalgia.
Go read the story, man. You're gonna have to read that story.
Damn.
Yep.
Okay. Well, another one down the drain.
Yeah.
I got some stuff I got to go burn now.
Oh no.
It's funny. I have a friend. Are you familiar with the Trailer Park Boys?
Am I familiar with Trailer Park Boys? Yes, I am familiar with Trailer Park Boys.
Well, Mike Smith, he ended up being a piece of shit.
Wow.
I was with a friend of mine, and I told him that, who hadn't heard about it, and he had a Bubbles patch on his jacket, and he immediately whipped out a knife and cut it off. I'm like, damn, dude, dedication.
Wow. Really going hard.
You didn't even verify the shit. You didn't even verify that shit when I told you.
Bro, I could have been lying, man. What? Damn, that's hard.
Okay, my number 7. Can I skip and combine my 7 and 6? Because I hate them both for more or less the same reason.
I'm not going to play referee for you. If you feel that's necessary, then do it.
Yeah, just for the sake of brevity, the 7 and 6 on here, it has listed as My Hero Academia and Made in Abyss. And it's like, first of all, come on, best anime of all time. Neither of these belong anywhere near this list. And the reason I hate both of these is mostly for the pervy shit. They're kids. They're in school. They're little kids. I don't need that.
Okay, well, hold on.
And it shouldn't be on your list.
Made in Abyss, they are actually legitimately little kids. In My Hero Academia, they are just the standard anime type kids.
Well, they're middle schoolers, dude.
Yeah, but they're middle schoolers in the way like anime kids are middle schoolers. Like they're also like cops, which I know doesn't do them.
Well, also fuck them because they're cops.
Because they're cops. I feel like that's more of an angle. I will say, so far on my list, I have watched all of these things. I don't think you've watched either of those things. Not to put you on blast, but
no, I have. I've actually stayed clear of both of these things.
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, though that's a -2 for me.
All right. Hard to argue with that. I dropped off My Hero Academia pretty hard. When it turns out that the kid with no powers not only has powers, he has more. He has
all the
more
powers
than anyone ever. Which just come on, guys.
I mean, it's the Harry Potter thing.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the destined one.
He really is.
He's the poor little orphan child that some fucking bougie elite takes pity on and elevates him to a new.
Kind of. Yeah. He puts his little shiny badge on this kid and puts his big old cowboy hat on him and says, "You're the cop now." I really want to say, like, guys, they're just doing a really shitty version of what they did in Avatar. Like, I'm sorry, that's what they're doing. And I'm not a huge Avatar fan, but it was better in Avatar. Like, come on guys.
I mean, you are a huge James Cameron fan.
Love James Cameron. He should have done the live action Avatar. It would have been so good. Oh my god, can you imagine? Oh. Oh god. Okay. Oh man, I'm gonna be thinking about that tonight.
You just summoned a million dead DeviantArt accounts.
Okay, so number 6 on my list. Now I'm conflicted here because this is really cheating. So far we've just been doing series, but this person has dropped as number 6 Ghost in the Shell, the original movie.
Yeah, no, that tracks for me.
It feels like cheating because, like, obviously, and this is hard to rank because, like, I kind of want to give this a 0 because Ghost in the Shell, I mean, if I am treating this as a legitimate entry on this list, deserves to be, like, I don't know, number 3.
Well,
maybe?
It falls into that category of real movie, not
like,
trash.
Yeah, like full on good.
It doesn't deserve to be lumped in with the term anime. It's like an actual piece of real media that someone put thought and effort and like a lot of passion into.
It's very hard to be like, oh, I'm just gonna drop Ghost in the Shell after what? Rurouni Kenshin, Naruto, Death Note, and ReZero. Then you're gonna just drop a fucking bomb into the middle of this list. My impulse is to reward somebody for saying Ghost in the Shell because obviously it's a classic and it deserves to be on any top 10 list, I think. But like, this feels like weird use of it. I have to say, because we are reviewing.
Well, it's like, and we may, I may be putting my foot in my mouth here, but it's like putting Akira on the list, right? That's not an anime.
Well, hey, we haven't finished the list yet. Well, who knows?
That's that's what I said. I may be biting my tongue.
Don't presuppose. I think because here's my rationale. Because we are reviewing the list and not the list entries, this is a big fucking 0. Like, this comes out of nowhere. This is bad. If you're gonna put Ghost in the Shell on the list, we got to take the whole thing much more seriously. So that's a whiff. That's a whiff for me, dog.
Okay, my number 5. In the same vein, like, now I know that this is a fucking meme list now because their number 5 or number 20, since I'm counting from the bottom, is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Parentheses entire series.
That feels like cheating too because that's a lot of anime.
Well. First of all, JoJo is incredibly popular. We're both fans. You know, you've read it. I've watched most of the anime at this point. I'm still catching
Love
up
JoJo.
on Stone Ocean, but I have to recognize that the anime is not the manga, and the manga is the real impressive one. You know, the anime goes through cycles of varying quality in terms of adaptation. Sure. I think that the first 2 seasons, you know, Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency, probably a rough start for the series overall. It found a pretty good footing with its style in Stardust Crusaders, and then Diamond is Unbreakable, I think, was the best looking one by far. I'm like iffy on... Well, Golden Wind was pretty good. I'm iffy so far on the quality of Stone Ocean. But if they're saying that this belongs on a best anime list of all time, I gotta go with a no.
That's
manga,
a no.
Manga, absolutely. But as an anime adaptation of that manga, that's a no.
Interesting. I happen to like both. I think they're both great, but I see where you...
I mean, I love the anime. Like I said, I'm a huge fan, but even I have to give props to Araki, because some of those panels that I've seen, like, that's some real good shit.
Oh, he's a virtuoso.
And it does not get that good at any point in the anime.
It is hard to replicate that in motion, for sure. I feel you.
Mm-hmm. So, despite my love for JoJo, that's a no-no.
Okay. All right. Now we're really getting into it. So my number 5, and this is... you know, a sort of a sleeper, controversial hit if you're not like a little bit deeper into the anime shit. My number 5 is Steins Gate. I'm sorry, Steins Gate.
I hate everything about that title. I hate everything about that show, even though I don't know anything about it.
I happen to like Steins Gate. This is something like we mentioned briefly earlier. This is actually a visual novel turned into an anime, which I think kind of it taints it a little bit because it has the flow of a visual novel every once in a while. But this is also, and again, this is like a...
Oh, you mean that totally natural flow of 2 people just kind of going back and forth with single lines of dialogue?
Yes. I think in terms of adaptations, it is a pretty good one. It does a good job, but I think a lot of it happens to be kind of... a latent fascination with the, you know, a big cast of anime girls. I think that happens to be what a lot of people like about it, unfortunately.
Man, I hate anime girls. I wish they would stop putting them in shows.
I hate anime girls. Can't stand them.
That's why I love Grappler Baki.
Baki is a golden, shining beacon in a sea of depraved anime girls. Oh no. I this is harder for me because Steins Gate obviously does not belong in a top 10 list for me. So this is a 0 again. Like, we're really whiffing here. But I do like Steins Gate. I want to make that clear. Like, this is not a Steins Gate hate. I think Steins Gate is fine. I don't even like time travel, but I do like Steins Gate. It's okay. It's fine.
All right. Resounding
that's
endorsement.
A 0 for me, dog.
Okay, my number 4 is 19 is Naruto Shippuden.
Oh, man.
Skipping straight to the teenage
Better choice. To be honest, a safer choice for sure.
See, that's funny. That is exactly when I dropped out of Naruto as a teen, when I was reading the chapter releases in high school. They did the time skip to Shippuden. I'm like, man, I see where this is going. And that answer is nowhere. I'm out.
It's funny that I've heard that from like other people too, like a lot of people, which is really bizarre to me because, it's like that's very, very early on in the run of Naruto.
Well, we were all. I mean, I think in the end we were all surprised on how long Naruto ended up running. Well, but then again, Bleach is still going. It's like
awful.
Well, I don't know. Is the manga? I think the manga's ended now, and they're just waiting to catch up with the anime. So, yeah. All of the big 3 shonen anime, they have some pretty major zombie Simpsons vibes going on at this point.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to show my hand too hard at this point, but like, Yeah, I cannot stand Bleach. Death to Bleach, sorry.
So, I never read or watched Shippuden, so that's a no for me.
You.
Because this list is no longer appealing directly to my own personal taste.
Oh, no. Okay. Now, this is an interesting one. Number 4 on my list is Full Metal Alchemist. Now, it doesn't specify Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which everybody agrees is obviously the better version of this.
Well, I would say that it's definitely the completed version of it, because the original series kind of ran out of material to adapt and then inserted a weird ending where Hitler showed up.
I have heard of this. I did not watch that. Yes, I watched Brotherhood. I do not like when Hitler shows up in anime. I think cuts a little too close to home. It becomes real awkward at the party.
Yeah, it's not great. They literally so it is in the movie sequel to the original series, and the premise is after the climax of the series, Ed has found himself transported to our very real world 1930s Germany.
Naturally.
Without his alchemy powers. And he gets involved in a political plot to stop the beer hall push. I'm not making this up. He gets Hitler arrested at the end of the movie.
Wow. Cool, thanks.
So if they're talking about that Full Metal Alchemist, then no, that is a wrong choice.
Well, I think, I think they...
If they're talking about Brotherhood, which is just the adaptation of the manga, then yeah, sure, I see that.
They tried to combine them here. Either way, as again, this is sort of like a couple of the other ones I talked about. It's just turned into a real hate fest, I'm sure. But like, Full Metal Alchemist is fine. I liked it. You know what? If as far as Brotherhood goes, I think there's some good stuff. And like I mentioned, I think a little while back, I'm reading the author's new manga, and I like that too quite a lot. But I just do not have a place on in my heart for Full Metal Alchemist on a top 10 list. And compared to some other people's top 10 lists too, this sitting at 4 is a little awkward as well. So I'm gonna have to say, yet again, we are whiffing it. That is a 0 for me, dog.
No, I disagree with you. I think that you fundamentally lack joy in your heart, if that's your take.
It's just not. It's not stunning. You know, it doesn't have that spark.
They even have that dope Larsen L song in the intro. Come on, that's got to count for something.
I think I've said it before to you, maybe not on the podcast, but like if the entire show was done in the style of the end credits animation style, it probably would belong on my top 10, but it isn't, and it's just not. It doesn't have the spark. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, that is too bad. That was your number 4?
Yes.
My number 4, which is actually number 18, counting up from 25, Death Note.
There it is again, baby.
Now, yeah, there it is again, and I'll say it again. Not my thing. Just a bunch of jerk-offs jerking each other off to see who can be the biggest jerk-off.
I totally disagree, but I understand. I understand the sentiment. I totally disagree, though.
Also, L is a stupid name. Light has dumb hair.
It's not his name.
Also, Light is a dumb name.
It's not his name. It's obviously.
I don't care what his name is.
Alias. Hey, Light really cared what his name is. So, I'm just saying.
I think that the best thing that series has ever done was getting Willem Dafoe involved in some capacity. At least someone with talent touched it.
Sure. It's hard to argue with that.
So that's another no for me. So far, this list is absolute trash.
We are doing some bad numbers. Okay, so number 3 for me, and now we're kind of moving into a little better space, is Samurai Champloo. Now we're talking, okay?
Okay. You know, that one's a hard for me because, you know, I agree it belongs on some list. Probably even a best of list. Is it number 3? It's definitely got some good looking episodes. It's got some good sound and music. You know, it's got that new Jabe's track in the opening.
There's some dope music. It's got some great animation. It obviously has a very good pedigree, and it's pretty fun. Another one with a Naruto Sasukura. Shouldn't even have to say it, but there is a Naruto Sasukura present here. but I still think it's nice, and I'm feeling a little bit like this has turned out to be kind of tragic for my man at Redacted here. And I'm willing to say, like, Samurai Champloo is hard to say no to. While I don't think it belongs anywhere near a 3 on anything I would list, I'm going to give him a 1 because it is good. It's a good series.
So, okay, I'll give it that. Again, I love it. Controversial pick on a number 3 for me. But I'll leave it at that.
It's a strange choice, but it's not offensive, which I guess is the metric I'm working on at this point in the list.
Well, it's better than my number 17 here, who the author of this list has just gone full mask off, outed themselves, and included Attack on Titan.
Oh boy.
Literal fascist propaganda.
All right, here we go.
So yeah, what I was saying about Death Note, a bunch of jerk-offs jerking each other off. This is one big jerk off jerking himself off with stupid thigh jetpack blade things.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get to that.
I don't like it. I don't like the implication of the whole, like, I have to restart humanity. Like, all humans are bad, so I'm just going to genocide the world and restart it all because that's my responsibility as the protagonist. So, fuck the author, fuck the character, fuck this list. Attack on Titan is literally the only wrong choice.
Now, yeah, well, yeah, interesting. So now I'm in a bit of a strange position now. Totally losing cred here, I guess. But my number 2 is Darker Than Black, which is the first thing on this list I have not watched. I do not know basically anything about Darker Than Black.
Well, I've brought that up a couple times. I've suggested you watch it. You haven't yet, apparently.
Maybe I will.
I think you should. I don't think you like it. It does very much the whole, the main character is like the super logical, emotionless psychopath type, a charismatic Patrick Bateman as his inner self. And so he does, he's a world-class assassin masquerading as a high school student.
Right.
And so he does the whole thing, like everything people do is because I've manipulated it that way.
Great. So like Death Note, but more shonen.
Yes. Because he's actually just like a massive tool, even more so than Light.
Oh boy. In this review, I will say, he says of our main character, Hei, as he becomes more powerful, he also becomes more ruthless, but never truly loses his caring nature. Would you agree with that?
Well, okay, so the stupid cop-out reveal that they do either at the end of the season or midway through is that he's actually just super pretending really, really hard to not have emotions, and actually he does care.
Oh my god. So he's just being an edgelord for the fun of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great. I love that even more.
Well, so the setting is that a meteor crashed on Earth and gave a bunch of people weird powers. But all the people that got weird powers also lost their humanity.
I'm seeing that here.
And so they're like...
Yeah.
And then it turns out he's super duper special because he's just pretending to be an edgelord and he actually still has emotions, even though he has superpowers.
I think I've already watched this series 7 or 8 times already. Crazy. Yeah, that's I don't want to sound biased here, especially because I haven't watched it, but that's also gonna have to be a 0. I mean, from the premise alone, unfortunately. Sorry, Darker Than Black.
Oh, that's too bad.
Assassins are, there's a thing people say when you are in script writing class. Yes, I've taken script writing classes. That
don't brag.
Writing about a hitman or an assassin is basically what the most creatively bankrupt students always reach for their first scripts. And so it is pretty much almost a guaranteed flop every time. I would say it is a little telling that this is kind of the first two Tarantino movies that hit. So I don't know.
I was about to say, so you agree that Luc Besson's a bit of a hack fraud?
I would say Luc Besson is, people have had a lot of time to reevaluate his oeuvre, but I'm just saying that's just something, make of it what you will. It's just something they say in script writing. Anyway, that is a big 0. Sorry, Darker Than Black.
Yeah. All right, my number 16, counting up. Actually, it makes me take back some of the harsher things I said about the author of this list, because they put Oran High School Host Club on here. And so that really tips me off that they probably got bullied quite a bit when they were younger.
Hey, that's a very popular series, to the point where it also has a live-action adaptation.
I don't actually know what it's about. Is it just about a bunch of twinks doing twink stuff at a high school?
Yes, I mean, it's about their host boys, like at a host club. And they're little hotties, and their job is to be little hotties, and girl falls in love with all the entire menagerie of hotties. I mean, that's
oh wait, there's a girl involved. I thought they were falling in love with each other.
I believe the girl is falling in love with them. I can't say who they're falling in love with, because I also do not have a particular familiarity with it. But yes, there is a girl involved in Oran High School Club, host club. Yeah.
See, I know nothing about it, so I only know as much as I can tell from any promotional material or screenshot of the series, which never once has featured a female character in it.
I guess I should hedge my bets, and because again, I have not.
We're not saying it's not gay.
I'm not saying it's not all boys, boy on boy. I just saying what I imagine it is, what I think it is, based on stuff that I have heard about it secondhand. I really am just slightly less in the dark than you are.
So anyway, because I wanna be a good ally, I'm gonna give that a +1.
All right, might as well. Now we're really getting into the end of it here, because I have reached number 1, and wouldn't you know it, it's Attack on Titan. Oh no! Attack on Titan? Are you fucking kidding me? Now there's a lot to say about Attack on Titan. Supposedly there are good things to say about it. I don't know any of them because I can't make it past the first episode. I'm sorry, people. The little leg things suck. Dude, they are so goofy and lame. I don't know how people got into this show. I'm sure there's really great things that happen in it at some point. Obviously, people are getting hooked onto these characters. People are losing their minds over this shit. But it is so fucking goofy, dog. They look lame. Their entire fighting shit in a shonen show like that, in a shonen horror, looks lame. They're goofy ass fucking thigh grappling hooks. Why didn't you just give them grappling hooks? What were you thinking? This shit sucks, dog. I've got to give that a -1 because the goofy fucking thigh grappling hooks. Fuck off with that shit. Oh, and
man.
all the weird fascist undertones and some of the shit that the author has tweeted. Also that, but mostly the thigh thing.
I can forgive the war crimes, but the stupid character design, that's unforgivable.
I can't deal with it, dude. I can't deal with it. So, wow.
All right, so we've come to number 15. Counting up, which is where I'll leave this list for now. May revisit it in the future, but it has something that I've heard a lot of good stuff about. Haven't seen myself, unfortunately, but I think you have, and that is Devilman Crybaby.
Oh, wow. Now, that is definitely something that would be in my theoretical top 10. It would play around inside my theoretical top 10, I think. That is a solid-ass choice. That shit, I've talked a lot about how Masaki Yuasa is the god. He is one of the 3 gods of anime. And that his take on one of the godly series, one of the canonical godly series of manga, Devilman, which has existed in so many different incarnations. It's sort of almost like a public domain sort of myth, legend kind of thing. And his version...
It's reaching Gundam levels.
His version is breathtaking. I really think Devilman Crybaby is probably the best thing Netflix has ever done, including live action series and movies and everything. That shit fucking rules. So I mean, you'd have a hard time dealing with that since you haven't watched it. But that's what I feel.
Now, would you give it a +1 as a number 15 though?
Number 15, it would really depend on what 14 through 1 end up being, because this list seems like it's all over the place, and I have to imagine it doesn't get better from here. But
it does not.
Yeah, if there was a solid 14 through 1, I could forgive it. I think much like the Ghost in the Shell drop early in the list, this is a bizarre choice this far down. And you'd really have to wrestle with like how godly this show is compared to how bizarre this list is. So I really can't even say.
Well, there you have it. That is the 25 through 15.
Hold on. What are you going to give it? You can't leave us off there.
Oh, well, I haven't seen it, so I have to give it a 0.
Yeah, right. He gives it a 0. Damn.
It obviously has some very high praise, but as you said, it either belongs on a different list or much higher on this list. Going by what I've heard,
that's my.
I'll have to give it a shot. I'll have to see if that holds up. In my opinion, I think it will. I am a big fan of this director's work. His other movies that I've seen.
You need to get on that shit. Okay, let's tally it up here. Shall I go first?
Well, let me go first because it'll be quick for me. It's a 2 out of 10. My list scored 2 out of 10. Then that's absolute trash.
Oh, that's a bad list. What a bad list.
Yeah, this is a real bad list.
Redacted, you have bad taste in anime, dude. What the fuck is going on?
And when we say this is a big name out there.
Hold on.
So Redacted, be glad that we're not dropping that.
Let's not put them up last. We don't want to make too many enemies this early on in the game. But bro, get your shit together. Well, my list is 2 1s and 2 negative 1s. So this list ends up 0 out of 10. Wow.
A 0. A perfect white card.
Now you took kind of a circuitous route to get to the 0, but it's still a 0. What a trash list. What are you doing, Redacted? What are you doing?
Yeah, no. Oh, receiving penalties.
I have to say, and again, I know that I've stated that this is sort of the premise of the show, that people have bad taste in anime, and we really need to set the record straight. But like, even saying that, what are we doing, people? What are we doing? Let's be real. Let's be honest with each other, and let's talk about why anime fans have such trash taste. We really got. I'm gonna have to do more research, and we're gonna have to have a bigger discussion about that at some point. But we have to figure this out.
I think it's a fundamental flaw at the core of the person.
I don't know. I think we're going to have to sit down and really have to hash it out at some point, because I am fascinated and horrified. It's worth discussing, I will say. Unfortunately, our first breakdown of 2 top 10 lists are, wow, really bad. Well, there you have it, folks. We're
going to keep searching. We're going to keep searching for that perfect list. Eventually, we will find the one list that completely encapsulates us.
I think at some point we're going to find an objectively great list. I know it exists out there, but I think, now that we have something like this really is an encapsulation of the anime death spiral. We are moving ever closer to a medium of mediocrity, and we are doing it not just willingly but enthusiastically. And I think our goal really needs to be to get the standard back up to something that is acceptable for like decent human beings.
Oh, no.
Oh man, I hate to leave it on such a negative note, but we really got to wrap it up here. Is there anything we can expect for our next episode? Are we going to be able to watch? Are we either going to watch some more anime, or maybe read some anime, or even just think about some anime in the meantime?
I'm going to be in, as I said, the Holy Land. I'm going to Tokyo, and I am going to report on some anime that I find there. That's what you have to look forward to.
I can't wait to hear these reports.
I'm gonna find a jump in a 7-Eleven. I'm gonna talk to a Japanese man, like a real one.
You're gonna eat that karagi.
Yep, I'm gonna eat some fried chicken bits.
Hell yeah.
And I will report on all of that anime.
I'm really excited to hear if that Gundam is actually as big as people say.
No, that's too big.
Too big. Okay, well, I will say I'm gonna watch maybe a couple more episodes of Summertime Rendering to see how that plays out. At some point maybe I can talk about a few more death games that I've read. I've got an endless bottomless pit of death games, and I'm gonna check out maybe a couple more new anime from this season that we didn't talk about, and see if maybe there's anything else worth watching. I really don't know. But you have that to look forward to, I suppose, best friend. I'm so glad you joined us, bestie.
It's a cozy time having you here.
It's always great. I love having you here sitting on the couch talking anime. And I think we had a really great, very productive anime discussion this time, especially with all the intricate Kingdom Hearts lore. I think we really got to the core of anime this time. Wow. Well, until next time, think about anime, you guys. Bye.
See you later.
They love it. They want more of it. My God. They're going wild. They're like rabid animals.